Hi. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to DnDTime Worlds, the show where we build worlds together, and I'm really excited to do that tonight because tonight we're gonna build a forest. Hello, Sheba. I see you hanging out there. Calm before the storm style. Yes, very much so. We keep those 2 minutes of silence for those of you, the rare few who are here for the beginning of the DnDTime World stream. There are 2 minutes of silence that precede the little intro theme that we have, which is Dvořák's Humoresques, which is a very beautiful piece. And we like to keep those minutes silent so that you have just some moments of quiet reflection to look back on the worlds that have been, think about the worlds that will be, and kind of get into our show tonight. And I think it's going to be a good one tonight. I think there's a lot of room to kind of build within the confines of a forest. And Trust a Flump, perhaps the most beautiful piece. I mean, maybe it could be my favorite piece of music that we have associated with D&D time, including like the theme song of D&D time. I absolutely adore Dvořák, and specifically that piece. Are there lemon trees in the forest? There absolutely can be, and we'll just put that as a note right here. We got lemon trees. Yeah, we got lemon trees in this forest, but we're gonna have a lot of other things as well. Trust a Flump, aka Jeremy, you don't gotta force me to make lemon trees. I'm in with you on lemon trees, 100%. So yeah, we're gonna be building a forest. There is one kind of note I wanted to talk about as we're going in, since we're doing things a little bit more modular. But I know there was also some people originally that liked the kind of progressive nature of things. I've been kind of thinking about DnDTime Worlds and what we're doing now as more of a jigsaw puzzle than kind of building the world last time when we were kind of painting on a canvas. We're assembling it like a jigsaw puzzle. We're going to build a lot of pieces. Some of them might be pieces for other jigsaw puzzles, and some of them might be might just never get placed into a world, but eventually we're going to use all of the kind of materials we have and try and fit together a cohesive world using our little modular content that we've made. Adrian P subscribed at tier 1. They've subscribed for 10 months. Hey, good looking. Hey, good looking you, Adrian P. Thank you very much. It is much appreciated. We love you very much. Reflected Tree says the tree of many citrus, lemon trees, also known as the tree of many citrus. Why not just a tree that grows like everything? Well, that sounds like some extra planar trees. I feel like there's a tree in, I don't know, Arborea is probably the place where they would have that tree. That feels right to me because Arbor is in the name of it, but maybe I'm out of my mind. Perhaps Mount Celestia has those kind of trees on it. Oh yes, and Trust a Flump says, oh dang, speaking of good looking, check out who's hanging out. Yeah, we got a spectator running on DnDTime Worlds now, which means, well, for one thing, you can accumulate points, but mostly you can, more important than that, you can look up how many people me or Jeremy have killed, I think is the main purpose of the spectator in Pete and Jeremy's D&D time, so that's pretty fun. Just an improvement. We've been talking about it for a while, so Jeremy finally worked out on the tech. I think a while ago, we just haven't used it yet. But yeah, we're running right now on that. Great, so I thought the right place to start on what's in a forest would be... oh man, I've already got 3 kills. That's a pretty, it's pretty early in the season to have 3 kills right now. I think there might be an E at the end of Fatale. I'm not sure, Adrian P, but I think I'm in the lead. I can't remember what Jeremy's kill count is. Yes! I am in the lead! I don't take pride in this, except for I do a little bit. Let me rephrase. I wish I didn't take pride in it, but I do. So I thought a great place to kind of start out would be to just talk about the kinds of things that we will world build in a forest. So we know exactly one thing about what we're building, and that's that it's a forest. It's gonna have trees. Really, that's all we got nailed down. It's trees and mostly wilds. That doesn't mean it's entirely wilds. We could toss a couple of towns into our forest, but for the most part, it's gonna be trees and plants and and beasties and creatures and all sorts of things like that. And it's probably the exceptions to that are going to be what make our forest interesting. But let's talk first about the nature of the forest. So what kind of things go in a forest? We'll talk about the natural. And making a bullet point. So trees. What kinds of trees are there? Some, and odds are, in terms of trees, there's one or two common, maybe one special, i.e. lemon trees. Do lemons grow on trees, or do they grow in like bushes? I don't actually know if I don't actually know if lemons are on trees. Jeremy, as the one who is most invested in lemon trees, you should look that up. Okay, she was confirming that they grow on trees. You have a lemon tree in the backyard. That's awesome. I have a friend of the family who has an orange. I don't know if it's a tree or a bush, because it's very low to the ground, which is why I was thinking that lemon trees work. 'Cause I remember their orange tree, quote unquote, was more like a bush, and I remember oranges being at my waist height, which is why I was confused. Trees. There's going to be trees, and also just kind of what type of forest, and that's going to be very much decided by the types of trees that we decide to put in it. But what type of forest? I'm going to spell deciduous so bad. Deciduous. Oh, damn it. Is it with a C? Oh, I knew it was with a C. Deciduous forest probably is we're going to end up going with. But maybe we do like kind of a northern, evergreen forest, which would also potentially be cool. Other plants. And if you guys have ideas for stuff that could potentially go in a forest, please call them out. Other plants, so probably flowers, ferns, herbs, and we're coming to this. I mean, there's definitely going to be, when we're talking about like what kind of like small brush and growth there is in the forest, we want to think about things that are going to be significant from a player's standpoint. Either there's like a common flower that's common enough to kind of define the landscape, just like, on the Crimson Coast in the land of D&D time, the kind of beads of glass that spread out and kind of define the shore of the Crimson Coast aren't important from an adventuring standpoint, but they're prominent enough that they're important for the visualization of the area. So in that regard, if there's like a really common flower that you see everywhere in the forest, then that's important to kind of get a good idea for what it looks like. But other than that, we want plants that are going to be, or at least, to take the time to write down plants that are going to define either the appearance or have mechanical implications. So in terms of herbs, if there are a lot of medicinal herbs that could be used by someone who was like a druid or an herbalist, and those kind of things are common, then that's the kind of stuff we want to write down, and that's the stuff that's like worth taking notes on. So in stuff, Bankshiba says lions and tigers and bears. Yep, we're definitely going to have some beasts. In terms of like prominent types of beasts, I mean, it's probably going to be just, what carnivores are going to be the main ones that matter, because you're not going to encounter a lot of herbivores that are in any way kind of significant to interaction. Like other than just the flavor of, like, if they want to go hunting, maybe they'll find a deer. But carnivores are the creatures that are going to come after them and attack creatures in the forest, so those are the ones that we're probably going to focus on. Beasts that strike or attack adventurers that wander through the forest. So those are the kind of ones, in the same way, like I was talking about with the plants, we want stuff that's going to be active and be relevant to the actual journey of anyone that goes through. Another one that was thrown out were assassin vines. So those would be a special plant. Those are almost a beast, but we'll put, I'm going to bold assassin vines, since that's kind of like that's more of a feature from the more combat side of things, but it definitely would fall into plants. I don't know if I'd call assassin vines natural. I guess it depends on our world that we're building, and we just get to decide if they're natural or not. Elk, elk with babies around, or mooses, or mises, or mooserin. Yeah, absolutely. Sentient giant elk. Well, that brings us to another point I want to get at. So, let's talk denizens. And other kind of, like, you know, probably bold. Birds aren't important. Birds are probably in there, because that's going to affect kind of the soundscape. We can also just talk landscape. They're going to be hills, ponds or lakes, denser or less dense areas of the forest, and that's also going to have a big impact on what kind of creatures live within it, so that's something that we'll need to flesh out at some point. I'm also, just to be clear, since we're going at this in kind of like a slow pace and really taking our time to kind of round it out, I suspect that forest is going to probably be 2 weeks, and we'll build it still everything individual and modularly, and then just kind of like slap it all in the forest. But it'll probably take us 2 weeks to flesh out everything that we need for this to be as full as I would kind of like it to be ultimately. And let me put down that note of beasts that strike or attack adventurers as a subnote. Under that I'll put protective herbivores as an option. That doesn't look right, but it's telling me I'm doing it right, so I'm not gonna lick a gift horse in the face. So what kind of denizens are there in this forest? Jeremy was talking before about a sentient giant elk. So when I hear sentient giant elk, and this is probably a one of, and I'm gonna put one next to it. Gonna put 1 or 1 to 2 over here. A forest guardian, because that sounds like the kind of thing that's like almost less a just kind of like a feature that's walking around. Like, that thing has a purpose, there's a reason it's there, and it probably like cares about the forest, and as an idea for that under it, I'll put sentient giant elk. But that sounds like a forest guardian to me. Like, another thing that we're probably going to have as like a denizen of the forest, some monster. There's something in the forest that is not, I think, non-sentient, but is just kind of a force. Either it's, you know, the bear that people have been trying to hunt for so long that it's gained, like, class levels, essentially, and become that just, like, unkillable, like, monster of the forest. Or it could be, like, just a monster straight out of the monster manual. I see that Reflected 10.8 was thrown out there. I think he's on the same page as me, a rogue layered beast. Like a hydra or a chimera or some kind of fey creature. So I think, you know, some monster or evil creature that has made a portion of the forest its home, which I think that's kind of a cool idea there. Let's see what else we can do. And I said 2. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to say 1, because there's only going to be one of those, probably. We don't want to just have a forest full of monsters. Or maybe we do. But odds are, if we want to kind of... Because I want to touch on... I would like to do as many different things within there as possible, so we can kind of cover a lot of different bases. So I'd rather not just have, like, a forest that's 7 different monsters, and do a lot of different stuff. Maybe 1 or 2... wanderers, and those can be things like rangers and druids, creatures that are, or people that are sentient and protect the forest to like a lesser extent than something that would be considered like a forest guardian, which is a classic archetype. And those kind of classes, there's a lot of tools in there that seem like they're meant a little bit more for NPCs. I'm falling a little bit behind on chat. Let me catch up a bit here. Random Shiva says owls, except they're day owls and have beady eyes instead of normal ones. I actually really like that, and I'm going to put it down here. Because that's the kind of thing that even if the day owls... you can probably find a way to make them significant in some way, but just day owls themselves are a nice way to start giving a little color to a forest. I think that's cool. Day owls. Like... night owls, but with beadier eyes. And we're gonna bowl the day owls because that's like a, gonna be like a thing. Psychopath says minutes late, but you're here. Well, welcome. It's good to have you here, no matter what time. And you're only like a couple seconds late anyway. And as an update, we're building a forest today. I think it's gonna be fun. And Maddie Morgs is also here. Hello, Maddie. Psychopath asks, a nice hag. Also, Trust a Flump before that said, ooh, let's make Galeb Fleur. Gigantic humble flowers with the power to duplicate themselves. I will write down Galeb Fleur. The name Galeb Fleur makes it sound like that's an existing thing. I don't know if it is. Is that like a known thing? Because I am unfamiliar. No, paste without formatting. I am a fool. Is that a known thing? Please tell me if so. And just gonna write that little note after it. Gigantic, humble flowers with the power to duplicate themselves. Eventually, we want to kind of like work all of this into something of an ecosystem. So we're going to go back through and like pick and choose stuff that feels like it kind of works well together. And so like a nice hag, says Psychopath, maybe when we're eventually getting to the point where we are, and that's another possible forest guardian, where we're figuring out what the Galeb Fleur are, or, oh wait, Galeb, it's like Galeb Dur. Yes, I get it now. So a nice hag. Yeah, maybe. And maybe the nice hag built the Galeb Fleur, or grew the Galeb Fleur. And we'll kind of come up with those connections as we're going forward. And if you guys see opportunities for them, well, then let me know that. Maddie Morgs has subscribed! They've been subscribed for 5 months. Has it really been that long? I guess not as long as I've been hanging out, even longer. Cheers. I guess not as I've been hanging out even longer. There it is. I messed that up the first time, but I got it the second time, and I think that's almost as good as getting it the first time. Maddie, thank you so much. You're the best. Having you here is always an absolute joy. And Psychopath says no one will see it coming to the nice hag. Yeah, no one ever would see the nice hag coming. When you see your giant elk, Mononoke. Oh yeah, definitely getting those vibes. I like the Trust a Flumps in on the nice hag idea, so that sounds fun. Granny Grindle, the smiling hag. And Granny Grindle, the smiling hag, Bold, sounds like something that, if there are any towns in the region, civilization, I know how to spell every word in the world, if there is a town within the forest, and I think towns are definitely something that we want to have, and I think, a forest can support 2 or 3 different towns and have them all be kind of different, and then you're kind of building like an ecosystem, but maybe one that's kind of like carved itself out at a minimum. But I'm going to go bold here and say we can put 2 or even 3 towns in this forest that we're going to make. the kind of citizens of that town would absolutely, like, have rumors and speak about Granny Grindle, the nice hag, but they probably wouldn't be as flattering. Like, I imagine her hut out somewhere in the woods would be something that, like, kids were told to stay away from because she'll gobble you up and that sort of thing. And that's also going to build us into, like, another category that I want to talk about, is what the folklore of this forest is going to be. And that would be, the first thing I'm going to put on there is Granny Grindle's going to be part of the folklore of this. So, rumors. Or actually, no, that's more of like this is like superstitions. If you're in the forest after dark, Granny Grindle will gobble you up. That's what Granny Grindle will wobble you up. That also sounds pleasant. Will gobble you up. That's what Granny Grindle would sound like if I was running Granny Grindle. Or a nice coven. Gotta have a coven. Or could be a solo hag. Yeah, I'm feeling more the solo hag. Because there's just like, then we have to come up with 3 witches if there's a coven. But if it's just Granny Grindle, then we're good. And it's also alliteration. Gingerbread house with a flattening, gingerbread house without the flattening and killing children and putting them into the oven. I like it. Consistently have problems with their stove. Fix them, except actually funny. All very funny. Nobody knows forests like Fluffy, of course. Galeb Floor's opponent, Galeb Doer. I was late to the party. You want Fluffy to be the guardian? Sure, I'm gay. I mean, Fluffy is a forest guardian, essentially. You're too busy guarding your own forest to guard this one. I think I just typed something, but I don't know what. Fluffy is a wanderer of the forest. I mean, absolutely it works. Where are we? Wanderers. Fluffy is like makes a lot of sense as a character that would be just kind of wandering the forest, just being kind of pleasant. Gives people good berries. Yeah, for sure. Fluffy goes around just kind of healing people or like helping people that are wandering. Goes around handing out good berries to the lost and hungry. And Fluffy, of course, never gets lost within the wood. One of the things that we're going to have to come up with, and as I always get to this point and say, we're going to need a name at some point, which means that, well, that's it. We're going to need a name at some point. So if you have ideas for a name for the forest, shout them out. Is another thing I wanted to do today, and I'm going to mention this right now, and that is, in Discord, there is a DnDTime Worlds discussion channel. As of yet, has been unused, so you will be, if you post in it now, breaking proverbial ground within it. And I wanted to add a segment to the end of the show called In Your Neck of the Worlds, where I use a lot of this stuff in like other games that I run, but I thought it would also be fun. So really, you guys are helping me build worlds for games that I'm just going to run later, which I really appreciate, and it's also fun to do. But if you want us to kind of pool the collected resources of chat, and it's really helpful when there's just a bunch of people here all throwing ideas and just seeing what's cool and seeing what kind of works. If you want to kind of put your own world up for that, I want to start a segment called In Your Neck of the Worlds, where you can tell us a little bit about whatever world or whatever aspect of your world that you want ideas for, or just have questions about, or would like to discuss. And we can kind of go over it and use that resource for your benefits as well, and all kind of pool our brains together to improve all of our worlds together, if you will. Which, please do that if you are interested in doing that, and we'll check that towards the end of the show, so probably around like 11, no, not 11, around 10:45, something like that maybe. We'll go and take a look, and I'll probably remind you all again one more time before we get there, but please do that in the discussion, the world specifically discussion chat on Discord, if you want to talk about your world, and also really if you just have anything that you want to talk about that you didn't want to write it in chat here, you can mention that in the chat on Discord. So, continuing, Demon Lord Nemi, hello! It is good to see you tonight. Nemi, the Demon Lord, perhaps you have a villain idea for us. Joseph Flum, how's it going? Maybe there's a demonic incursion in the forest. Matty Morgs, I'll have to be sure to buy some whiskey for Plunderloot for introducing me to y'all. Plunderloot has an impressive liquor collection. I'm no doubt that he would appreciate it. And perhaps likewise us he for you. Wait, I think I phrased that rightly, and if I didn't, us he for you sounded cool, and I'm happy with it. Demon Lord Nemi, I'm the NECA Demon Lord, not in a killing mood, too depressed. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. But, Demon Lord Nemi, I hope, even though you're more of a forest person, you're less of a forest person and more of a mountain and small hellish plains person, I hope we can find some small patch of our forest that we're building tonight to well, maybe just make you a nice little place in which you feel at home here in our cozy little forest. Granny Grindle is said to have put all her spite and hate and cruelty into a glass jar, which she keeps in her hut in case she ever needs it again. I love it! Oh my god, I love that so much! Patchwork 98 coming out with an incredible piece of lore. And I'm gonna put... do I want to put that under superstitions or great... No, this is now on the territory of what I was really getting into when I was talking folklore, which are legends. That's like something that people... like talk about, and those are people who actually like know a little bit about Granny Grindle. I love that so much. That's really cool. Reflected Tonight, the Mushroom King, a small fey boy that will curse you if you step on a mushroom by making a mushroom grow on your head. That's cute. No ill effect, but everyone will know that you've slighted I am the Mushroom King! Everyone will know that you've slighted the Mushroom King. I'm gonna put him under the other plants, and I guess he's not a plant, but I'm gonna do it anyway, and I'm gonna paste without formatting. The Mushroom King. Also, I like your use of small fave boy. Is there a Discord? Yeah, there's a Discord, Demon Lord Nemi. It's underneath the stream. Please go and join us and come hang out. It's the best. I caught up. Name ideas: Echoes Grove, Misty Glade, Mystery Meadows. I like Misty Glade. Mystery Meadows sounds more plainsy to me, but Echoes Grove and Misty Glade are both cool ideas. What's in a forest? What's in a forest? Wait, no, we're gonna go back to here. Bold and make it bigger. Name in bold. Name of the forest. Echoes Grove, maybe. Or Mystic Glade, maybe. I still want my magic tree of all growing. The higher climb, the better the stuff up out there. Magic tree. Trees. That's a special tree. That would be under the special tree tabs. Magic tree of all growing. Grows everything. If you climb high enough. That sounds like an adventure. Actually, that sounds like a plane. The magic tree, that you can literally find anything that you want upon this tree if you climb high enough. Also, that sounds like D&D time, if you climb high enough. The best stuff is at the top. Bottom branches, all acorns, and then the uppermost branches are all 9th level spell scrolls and magic weapons. All right. Discord was off. It throws you through a whirlpool. If the link that you got before wasn't working, you can also try Demon Lord Nemi. The link beneath our Twitch chat right here, there should be that should get you there, in theory. Hopefully. Alright, cool. So, Wanderers, well, let's take a look at what we got so far. We're kind of talking what type of forest. I think deciduous. I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to make an executive decision. It's a deciduous forest. This is now confirmed. Our forest guardian, I think that Granny Grindle, the nice hag, is absolutely our forest guardian. She's a delight. Diadems 1970. Hi Pete in chat and Flump. Guessing he's here somewhere. Yep, he's right above you in the chat. Diadems, welcome. It is good to see you, as it always is. We're building a forest tonight. It's pretty good. I like what we got going on so far. We have a great friendly hag within the forest that doesn't eat kids and instead just gives them candy in a non-sinister way. The rarest of all hags. I still can't get over that that Granny Grindle is said to have put all of her spite and hate and cruelty in a glass jar in case she ever needs it again. I love it so much. So we have superstitions and legends in terms of folklore, and this would also, kind of stretch into mechanics. Regular forest, elven forest, we don't really know yet, but kind of right now, I guess we're leaning towards a regular forest, and we're just putting a bunch of stuff in it to kind of see what hits, what works. So in terms of civilization, there's probably going to be one, and maybe this isn't count as civilization, but it's the dregs of maybe 2 or 3 roads, that is obviously civilization, because I changed my mind about what I'm talking about next. I think I was talking about before, maybe a ruin somewhere in. Remains of some ancient thing. Doesn't necessarily have to be like I always instantly think the remains of an ancient kingdom. Ruin could be a ruin of anything. It could be just like a ghost town, or a whole bunch of stuff. He deciduous on a decided forest. You have jumbled my words around in a delightful way. Ruin, yeah, an old windmill. Trustaflum says, I think that's a cool idea. Old windmill. The old abandoned windmill. It doesn't have to be spooky, but there's something about every ruin that I automatically go to ghost, and that's just me. It's probably on the edge of a large city with a bunch of magical waste that goes down the river of the forest. River. Actually, this is going to be in the category of geography, and this is actually something I'd rather not firm up about this place, because I do want to keep it. If we say that it's on the edge of on the border of a city that where they kind of pump magical waste into the river, then we've kind of placed it next to a city, which I want to keep this forest something that you could just take and just dump it right into any game. But I am going to put this category up here as just a reminder, because I do think that's a cool idea, and maybe that's also when we come back and jigsaw it, that's a great connect point, because one of these days we are going to jigsaw. So what was that again? Edge of a large city. And we'll get on the edge of a large city. On the edge of a big old city. Where the magical waste flows and pollutes the river. And also that brings us to another point. We're talking landscape, hills, ponds, lakes, rivers. We want a river. We want maybe 1 or even 2 different rivers going through our. Because also when you got rivers, then you got bridges and stuff. There's all sorts of little kind of focal points and cool accents you can make when you're combining your rivers and your bridges and putting them all together. Comment from Patchwork98. One tree, which was once climbed in a ritual of manhood, has been abandoned and so developed a curse. Anyone that climbs it begins to slowly de-age into a baby. The curse will break when a child near the age of adulthood climbs it to the top. Wait, when a child near the... Oh, okay, so like once one of the baby climbers actually makes it to the top. Like, I think the idea is that most people would stop, before they get to the top and therefore not complete the curse. If they just made it all the way to the top, it would break the curse. I think that's cool. We'll throw her down right here. Nope. We're going to Z, and we're going to remember to paste it without formatting. Paste without formatting is one of these things that someday I'm going to remember to do always, but for now I'm going to remember to do it never. Reflected 10-8 says, yeah, and curses are definitely something that we go in the folklore, and I like it, and that's the kind of character that you meet, like you meet the 18-year-old village elder, and he kind of tells you about his village curse. I can absolutely see it. Oh, okay, Patrick's saying, if a child does the old ritual again. Okay. Okay, see, I was imagining it as, like, gradually as you climb up it, which then, in a sense, really... The tree could almost be considered the fountain of youth, where it rebirths you, and in a blessing in some ways, which I do kind of like. But if the child does the old ritual again, the curse breaks. So I'll also copy and paste that right in here, so that I'm clear on that. And I think that's pretty cool, and I think it's pretty neat. The legend of the small potatoes, a plant with mystical potatoes that grant the eater a fulfilled future. You will find 1 GP per day after eating from the miracle plant. That also sounds like a DnDTime plant. The legend of the small potatoes. We're gonna put them in here. That might be a little too goofy for my own personal taste, but no idea unwasted. I don't know why it's getting me so much, but I do like it. Demon Lord Nemi, I'm not a tree man unless it involves undead, graveyards, and demons. I'm clueless about it. Undead treants, like treants that are from dead trees. Oh, radical. We're going to put that in the monster category, which is a plant, but this feels like a monster. Undead treants. Treants that are from old and deadened trees. And I imagine this kind of corner of the forest, I imagine this kind of corner of the forest is just a little bit darker. There's always just maybe a touch of fog that kind of rolls around. On the subject of fog, a thing to consider in our forest are weather patterns. Wait, I did everything so bad. Weather patterns. Probably temperate is what I'm just picturing in my mind, but one unique and consistent weather anomaly. I know I spelled anomaly, but no, it's got an A. I was just a fool. And it's got an E. We're gonna fix all my spelling is bad. I put my A for anomaly there, inconsistent. One unique and consistent weather anomaly. It could be anything. But I don't have any strong feelings about what that might be. Maybe it snows here a lot. Maybe there's like kind of a winter season where snow piles up incredibly high. Maybe it is, and this is also just like temperate. I imagined like a 4 seasons kind of forest, and actually, you know what? I'm making that call as well. We are a deciduous 4 seasons kind of forest, so we can mess around with all that different stuff if we want to. Reflected Tonight says a blight clan that are just trees that decided to abandon their work as trees to party like it's 1969. And of course, this forest in in geography and slash timeline, the year in this forest is in fact 1969. And I won't have any ands, ifs, or buts about that. 1969 is the year. And also, we are just going to go ahead and also just, we have a rule here around DnDTime Worlds when you put in strictly a meme, it goes in red to make it clear that I was just memeing about. But a blight clan that decided to kind of abandon their work as trees. That sounds like it's in the... I feel like there's something to go here with these kind of undead treants, and so these ideas of treants that are from like old trees, and making these undead treants like shirking their like responsibilities in some way. There's something there, and we'll call it in parentheses just the Blight Clan. Put a question mark. I don't know what that means. I don't know what a tree's responsibilities are. I guess the tree's responsibility is to produce oxygen for people to breathe, and to convert kind of sunlight into glucose and so on and so forth. Maybe that's what their responsibilities are, and that's why they're dead, is because they've decided they've gotten bored of this and have since starved. I don't know. It sounds ridiculous, but it also sounds great. But that sounds like a terrible thing. After too long, people use the tree as a fountain of youth. Once a child reaches the top, they all age to their true age. Many people die in the process. You let the child break the curse. Not. Yeah, I was having that exact same thought, Sheba, where it's like some of the elders just like climb the tree annually and do not. They say Granny Grendel has a sister. For as kind as she is, her sister is twice as cruel, as giving as she is. Her sister twice as selfish. Luckily, as powerful, her sister's is twice a week. We're gonna put this under the legend of. Actually, we're gonna put this directly under Granny. No, superstitions. What's a superstition? Maybe that's part of the Granny Grendel legend. We're gonna double tab and throw it under the. Throw it under the Granny Grendel legend. I dig it. I like these also. Some of these big. I like some of these big chunks that you guys put out, because then I can just copy and paste them and put them right in. That's it. I just like being able to copy pasta and not do my job and have you guys do it for me, which I guess is again the point of DnDTime Worlds. But I appreciate it nonetheless. So civilization, we haven't talked about this much. I want to throw a couple towns in here. I think I'm gonna go. You guys got some really creative stuff. I'm gonna go some more of the grounded stuff, because I feel like that's my role in all this, is to be the straight man to all of your chaos and all like the crazy stuff you guys come up with, because some of the stuff you guys come up with is absolutely wild. So I'm gonna throw out a town right now, but get this. Here's where it gets really simple. It's gonna be a town dedicated to lumbering, and I'm saying 1 to 2 towns, and then I think also one secret town / city. Because I like the idea of having one place in the forest. Like, yeah, we know that there's an elven city in this forest somewhere. No one has any idea where it could possibly be, and anyone that's ever seen it can't remember where it is. That kind of thing. I don't have anything particular in mind, but that seems like a cool way to go. Town dedicated. I said lumbering, but we want lumbering. And this is going to be a place that harvests the surrounding forest as its primary export to larger surrounding cities towns, kingdoms, the area around it is a massive clearing. The largest in the forest. The main wall is built from solid trees, cut down and burrowed into the ground. So, you know, you always have those you always kind of have those walls that you see in medieval towns where it's just like full logs that have been kind of like raised up in spikes, but usually they're not like full thick trees. I imagine this place is like that, where they've kind of built themselves defenses from the forest in that way. But Oshiba says, a gnomish logging camp threatening to slice down the entire forest. That is similar to what I was just talking about, which is just, but I was picturing more of human deforestation, and that is similar. But on the subject of like a gnomish city, so I think we're on the same page here in terms of a logging town, because I do like the subplot, and we're gonna don't want it there. Do I want the subplot here? Bold subplot. Their logging is threatening the local ecosystem. And then maybe we're getting too real. I was thinking gnomes because they're using all the wood for tinkering to build some kind of super weapon. See, I was thinking like, because I just wanted, I wanted a nice, I just wanted a nice like peaceful logging village, a nice take it easy village. But let's do a gnome one. You thought a treant was bad. Wait until you see wood robot mech thing. Oh jeez, those gnomes. Well, maybe I was talking about a secret town or city. Maybe our secret city is gnomes, like some kind of hidden forest gnome village. That was the Robot Chicken theme. I don't know where I got that from. Gnome village. Forest gnomes tend to be in my kind of export. Export is lumber and maple syrup. Absolutely. Also, maple syrup and rum. That's a fun detail. Forest gnomes. Forest gnomes they're known for their kind of illusions, and they're known for being really kind of elusive and secretive in a lot of ways, and boisterous and happy and friendly, as the small races tend to be. They always get, there's very few small races like, oh, these are like the badass tiny little guys that live in forests and speak in high squeaky voices. They're always very friendly, and gnomes are no exception. So maybe we can play around with that archetype a little bit. Maybe they're grumpier than your average gnome, but I do like the idea that they have something hidden. So what kind of hidden location do you think? We could go underground with them, although maybe that's not taking advantage of the forest enough. Maybe they like live within hollowed out trees, and I don't know if there's any trees big enough, so they have like homes built up in the canopies that are like really well disguised, and they like climb up into them through small doors that are almost invisible, and then I imagine they go out through the hollowed out trees by ladders, and then kind of like live up in the canopies where they're all disguised. That's like an idea. Demon Lord Nemi says, I got a sickness that you could use, but I don't know if you could, if I would use it. It's called the Carmino Avine. Carmino Avine, that is my best guess. Carmio Avine. That is now officially, we've reached my best guess. It looks like a rose bush, but it makes dust like a cloud if inhaled. Tends to deform a person to a fleshy host to spread the seeds and the sickness. Oh, geez. That's not just a sickness. That sounds like an invasive and evil fungi, which is pretty rad. And we're going to copy Imposterino. We're going to throw it under... Do we have anything that's a sickness in this category yet? That sounds devastating, though. That sounds like it would just destroy a forest ecosystem. Carmino avine. Pastorino. I keep saying Carmino, but it's Carmio. Carmio avine. Also, that could be a character name. My name is Carmio. And we're gonna paste it. Yeah, that sounds terrifying. Oh god. I also like your use of the word fleshy. Reflected tonight, they say there is a fox whose pelt is pure gold in this wood, older than the trees and the slyest to walk these lands. He plays the game of the hunt with those he considers worthy. Win and you may receive his pelt, lose and you shall gain but a single hair, never to see him again. That's an awesome legend. And that falls right into the legends category. And these are... I love these kind of things. I love legends. Whoa, what did I do? I don't want to print this. Oh no! I meant to do something else. Cancel. I've lost all. Where'd my legends go? There's my legends. That's how you move where your bullet point is. You don't hit print. And I can tell you're doing a legend because it says they say, and they say is a great place to start for that kind of stuff. And it immediately, like, I can picture them going into our small logging town up here and meeting, or, you know, perhaps meeting our as of yet undeclared ranger. Does anyone got a cool ranger that they've played that might be good for one of our wanderers in the forest? Like, anyone have a nice, be it beast companion or hunter who had like a forest as their preferred domain that you think might be good in the outskirts of our own wilds here? Because if so, please give them to us. Donate them now to DnDTime Worlds. If you want, I can make a stack block for a human host with this sickness. I mean, yeah, absolutely. If you want to, you can throw it in the DnDTime. You can throw it in the DnDTime Worlds or even the DnDTime Brews discussion on the Discord, because that'd be good. Like, we don't do a lot of actual like mechanics and building on Worlds. We usually just kind of like come up with ideas and then leave it to y'all to like see what you do with the content or if you want to use it in your games. But I would love to see one if you have one already kind of made up. Trust a flip, but the fox is actually just yellow because it eats all the lemons. Let's talk about this lemon tree. Why is this lemon tree significant? And what is the deal with lemon trees in general? Because that seems to be a big and prominent feature. Raynor, the albino elf, we're coming up. It's just not okay. The lemon tree has been spoken about a lot. So I don't think you can say that it's not significant, but we're just gonna put in bold here. There is a lemon tree. Maybe Fluffy grows it. Alright. Where is your elf? I cannot find him. Okay, Ranger. Raynor. An albino elf. And we'll go with I don't know if I want to do albino, but we'll go with ugly since he said he had a charisma 4. An ugly elf cast out from his village, thought to be the son of the devil. In parentheses, charisma 4. That's a rough charisma score, Sheba. I am sorry. Or maybe I'm happy for you, because a low stat can also be a blast. Though to be? No, thought to be. Boop, boop. still guards his home village from the outskirts. And I'm running away with your guy a little bit. If you don't mind, still guards his home village from the outskirts, hoping to keep it safe, despite being shunned by its citizens. So this guy, even though he was kind of cast out from his home, is still out there in the forest, kind of wandering around, making sure that no terrible monsters make their way into the humble village from which he is born. Good-hearted individual, cast out by fate. Dramatic. We've generated, Maddie Mork says, we've generated several in the workshop. There's a few that come to mind from my personal games. Yeah, if you have more, by all means, toss them out if you got more. If you got one or even one in particular that you think would really fit. And we don't have too much kind of firmed out, I think, yet for our forest. We might, and maybe the plan is today we'll just keep doing a lot of brainstorming and throwing a lot of kind of spaghetti at the wall, and then next week we'll still do a little bit more of that, because I always like it. I mean, an idea should never be wasted, but perhaps next week we'll start kind of tying it together and making it kind of one cohesive place and figuring out like kind of what places really work within it. Reflected Tonight says, it grows good lemons, like good berries, but after eating one you are stunned for one round due to the sheer sourness. The lemons, there is a lemon tree. Its lemons are sour. So sour. The lemon tree is really a DnDTime Worlds episode in its own right. Or, perhaps it should be. Let us continue now. So, we were talking a little bit... I actually wrote a full ballad about the first few months of my very first campaign with Rainer. A ballad as in you've written a song about... Like, you've written out the story, or I mean, actually, like, in verse, because I am so interested in reading it. That's also a thing that you should throw in the, that's also a thing you should throw in the world's discussion, if you are willing to do so, because I'm very interested to see that. That's awesome. Yeah, please share that at some point. I'd like to see it if you want to. No pressure if you don't. Let's talk a couple roads. There's probably a road, and throw me out a name if you have in mind. I'm thinking something akin to rip off Game of Thrones directly, akin to, like, the King's Road. But maybe there's, like, a cooler name that we can, come up for that's more, not cooler, because King's Road is a cool name, but a more unique name. The King's Way. A central road to the surrounding regions that cuts a swath straight through the forest. Demon Lord Nemi, you're happy now. Making stuff does cheer you up. I'm very glad to hear that. Making stuff also cheers me up, actually. If I'm kind of a bummed out mood, I, a lot of the times will do mostly exactly what I'm doing right now, and just kind of world build. The King's Path sounds better. Very well. The King's Path, and so it shall be. It's his path through the forest. Yeah, that's how the king goes through the forest if he wants to. Straight through the forest. In terms of denizens, we know what we don't have yet. We don't got any one, not bold, one bandit guild. I said bandit guild, that makes no sense. One bandit. A singular bandit. No, one bandit band. There we go. A bandit band that bugs passerbys walking the king's way. Now we got connections. Tristan says, gotta make so that you can burn it down later. I mean, true. Great DM. This is just a side note. We're moving into Tox territory for a second, but a great DM is never afraid to burn down his greatest of creations. His or her greatest of creations. Their greatest of creations, better. I have improved as a person over the course of that sentence. Matty Morks. In my first campaign, about 11 years ago, there was an NPC named Green. An elf, a well-trained ranger. Green by name, but also being new and seemingly uncertain despite excellent performance and bravery stepping up beside the party. It wasn't until later that they discovered Green was a female in a bit of a Mulan twist. After that time, she learned she was skilled and respected for who she was on the inside, and not what she simply showed on the outside. Good moral lesson, touching moment, and big NPC development without overshadowing the PCs. She left a good impression on the players. I like that a lot. I really like the old Mulan Ranger. Where are our wanderers? Whoop. Bold, unbold, green. I'm going to copy. I'm going to copy and paste this chunk right here, so that I have it all, because there's a lot to kind of take in there. But I imagine that Green's role in this, Green would probably be associated with, I imagine Green would be like a faction member, as like Raynor's kind of like the kind of ranger that's just very specific to this forest, instead kind of assigned to be there. If we're doing the kind of Mulan style character, she probably works for a larger group, which... That's the kind of thing that when we're jigsawing this world eventually, and for anyone who wasn't here when I was talking about this, our plan for this world is to jigsaw it, and that's a term that I have made up, which essentially what I mean by it is, we're coming up with a lot of disparate parts, because I want it to be modular, so you guys don't necessarily have to be here every week to know what's going on, and can still kind of contribute ideas, because that's a problem we ran into last time we did Worlds a little bit, where people would have great ideas, but we couldn't use them because that conflicted with other stuff we had in the world, so I never want that to happen anymore. So... At the end of this quote-unquote season of Worlds, we're going to take all of these little pieces and put them together and build a cohesive world using these parts that we're creating. So right now we're just creating parts, but I picture Green as being an absolute like faction member of some type of faction that would employ rangers and wants to keep the wild safe and wants to keep evil at bay, and that was why they've kind of like created this identity for themselves within that group, which... makes a lot of sense to me, because I feel like an individual ranger and one that wasn't affiliated with any group wouldn't feel as much need to hide their identity, because they're just kind of working. So Green, I'm going to put a green highlight on Green, as this has given me the idea that we might need to do this. Green is something that is really ripe to be oh, nope, undo, not highlight, that was text. Green is a character that seems really ripe to be able to kind of affiliate with another group farther down the road. Is the long-winded thing that I'm saying now. Reflected Tenate says, a Fey Lord who doesn't know much about roads. Bless the road in his benevolence. Those who follow this road will never become lost. Bless the it's made me think, Reflected Tenate. It's made me think, because... When you said it, I actually misunderstood the point. I thought you were saying those who follow the road. Wait. Now I understand, Reflected Tenate. It is impossible to follow the road and become lost by definition of a road. You have swindled me. You are a swindler and a mountebank. You've tricked me, and I've fallen for your trick directly. I'm keeping this... I'm keeping this text, and this is something that someone in, like, I picture, like, when you're hearing about the legend of Granny Grindle, you're also going to hear about the legend of the Fey Lord who blessed the King's Way, and it's by some, like, drunkard at the tavern who's, like, messing with the players. If I was running this place, I know just what I'd do, and that's what I would do. I'm also just going to put it here so I know what to associate it with. You've gotten me. Lance, you've gotten me. Demon Lord Nemesis BTW, the host. Look at what the host race looks like, but they got their the roses grow over his chest and over the eyes, and their arms have been converted to a whip-like arm with the rose thorns on it. But by the way, if you do swamps, I got an old character you can have. Yeah, absolutely. Someday we'll figure out what we are doing in our swamp and build a swamp. I think there's so many cool things that you get to associate with swamps. There are, you know, I don't know, all the classics. There's alligators, and I don't know, I also strongly associate, like, undead with swamps, because I picture, like, you know, the willow wisps kind of, like, floating drearily, just kind of and lazily over the swamps as, like, the kind of swamp gas picks up, cascading light. And so in the same way, I associate a lot of, like, undead people, like, lost to the swamp that rise up out of it. Swamp sounds like an absolute blast. One of my favorite biomes to work in. We do a lot in the Baradak Swamp in DnDTime with all of our frog people, just because me and Jeremy, I think, both really like swamps. Both like swamps. All right. Alright, I think this is a good time. I would like to take just a very brief break to go and grab a drink and rest my voice, because no other show I find, because in DnDTime Worlds, I am just a blur. Like, I never stop speaking on this show, so my voice gets tired far, far quicker than it does on any other show. Like, in Pete and Jeremy's DnDTime, I've never found that my voice is tired, but, like, now my voice on DnDTime Worlds, like, at halfway point, my voice is starting to get a little bit raspy. So right now I'm going to take a brief break, grab a glass of water. I will be back before probably the end of the song that I'm going to play as soon as I go on the break. But a maximum of, like, 5 minutes. So I'll see you all soon! Hi, I'm back, I think. I think I'm back. If I'm not back, tell me. Um, which, I don't know if that'll do you much good, but regardless, I see that Adrian P. has been putting on a bit of a halftime show for us here, whilst Maddie Morg vends out and supplies all with the various refreshments and foods that they need. I would say need is definitely the word I would use. Right now, honestly, hot dogs complete with all the trimmings, so long as you like onions and mustard. I do like both of those things. That sounds so good to me right now. I'm very hungry. But the world's doesn't wait for me to be hungry. For me to not be hungry, I don't know. For me to eat, there we go. I think I got it in the long run. So, I think we must soldier on. Pete, I put the ballad in Discord if you want to read it. Yeah, I absolutely will do so. I will probably do so. Here you go, buddy. That'll be $60. Jeez, I'll probably do so here at the end of stream, and I will check. I will check that out. The ballad of Raynor. But we're going to do that at the end of stream because I mentioned this before, and I'll say again one more time now to remind y'all. I definitely recommend that you guys, if you are interested, write in the DnDTime Worlds channel, the discussion channel on Discord. If you're interested in us going over some of your own kind of worlds, I want people to, in a segment I'm calling In Your Neck of the Worlds, going through, write a couple words about your world. If you have anything that you want built for it, or you need some ideas, or you would just like to, in some way, source the creativity of the collected chat that we have here, please feel free to do that, and write a comment in the World Discussion channel, and we'll go through and see if we can come up with some ideas for some of your own projects here at the end. As I was saying before, I don't think it's fair that I'm the only one that gets to just to source the incredible creative energy of the hive mind, of the collective. And so we'll go through and look at all that at the end of the stream. Like I said, probably another half an hour before we do that. So, without further ado, let us jump back into our forest. The Echo's Grove, or perhaps the Misty Glade. We haven't talked about landscape much. You guys want to throw a lake in our forest, perhaps? The collective mind of a bunch of crazy people. That is perhaps true, but when did normal people ever make anything great? The answer is probably countless times in history, but I'm gonna, for the sake of that kind of logic that I was using, never. Oh no, Apple software wants me to update something. Gone. Out of here, Apple software. I don't care. I don't even know why I have Apple software. Demon Lord Nemi, my blood is pumping, everything turning red. Oh god. Demon Lord Nemi, don't kill again. Let's build a lake. That's where I was getting at just a moment before. Oh no, it's slaughter time. Let's build ourselves a lake. As a name, I'm gonna throw, how deep is the lake? Is the lake? How deep is the lake? The lake's only, at its deepest, the lake is 100 feet deep. Does it house a Triton city at the bottom with a Triton named Fishbeard? I don't know why I did. Oh, the possessive it's. I'm a fool. Does it house a Triton city at the bottom with a Triton named Fishbeard? The answer is it can't unless Rex is here. Rex, if you are here and you wish for Beardfish to be here in this lake, in this random forest in DnDTime Worlds, then absolutely it will. But we cannot simply, we cannot take Beardfish without the architect, so to speak. And architect is the word I would use, as Beardfish is a masterpiece. The artist behind Beardfish, maybe. Of course, Raventail Blacktalon. So I'm going to just throw out there, how deep is the lake? It's 100 feet deep. Within there are fish. That's like, I'm starting to go out on a limb here. We're going to say that there's fish in the lake. There's a small fishing village that that rests just on its shore. Second town, fishing village. Is there a bump on a frog on a log in the hole in the bottom of the lake? The answer to that question is decidedly, I would say yes. If I had to just throw an answer out there for that question, the answer I would give would in fact be I. Not an A. So we got a town over here, a town dedicated to lumbering. Why not? A town dedicated to fishing, because that instantly lets us build with the archetype, the one that got away. We get to have a big fish that's somewhere in the pond, not the movie Big Fish, which is, I really liked that movie, and then I watched it too many times, and I don't like it as much anymore because I'm just bored of it. But maybe the movie is still good. I don't know. I can't look at it with objective eyes anymore. I'm too close to the situation. But if you've never seen the movie Big Fish, I recommend it. 4 stars on an undecided scale. A town dedicated to fishing. Many kind of townsfolk fish in the lake or use nets to catch fish in the river. I'm doing some of our work for next week. We have a river at some point. There was discussion of a river. I can't remember where it was, but somebody talked about there being a river. Okay, no, we just said there might be rivers in the town. The Winding River. That's just the most generic name I come up with a river. I trust you guys to, before I've finished talking about the Winding River, to already have a better name for the Winding River. Annually, the herring run through the Winding River, feeding the humanoids that fish it for months. It's known. I'll get known eventually. Oh god. It took me 3 tries to get the word known. It's known for its quick turns and occasional rapids. A difficult river to navigate by canoe. I'm just on a world building roll right now. And I imagine now that we're kind of have this, if we're tying it into that other town, there's definitely like local contests to see who has the best time kind of canoeing down the river, that kind of stuff. Bionic Sheep is hitting us with a some say. I do love a some say. Some say that at the bottom of the river is a ring that belonged to the original elder of the village that was lost in a boat accident long ago. And so this is going to be in our legends category. We have another some say here. No, I did it again! I didn't hit shift. Alright, some say that at the bottom of the lake is a ring. And I'm just going to throw out here and say a magic ring that belonged to the original elder of the village that was lost in a boat accident long ago. And I think if we just say magic ring, that's like, a ring is like, oh, that's 50 gold, but magic ring, now that's a quest. And next up we have Sir Darwinning says hello. Sir Darwinning, hello to you as well. It is good to see you this evening. We're doing some, I don't know if I've seen you recently, but we're doing some world building. Here, we're doing some world building here. Tonight we're building a forest. We got all kinds of tiny stuff in here. We got a nice witch named Granny Grindle. We got a lumbering village. We got a fishing village. We got all kinds of stuff. It's fun. If you have any ideas, please feel free to speak up and share them with us. if it has a punch of freshwater shrimp, shrimp, it can be the Prawny River. Matty Morgs sees himself out. And allow me, Matty Morgs, to see you back in, because I laughed. And if I laugh at the Prawny River, then I have no right to... I have no right to throw you directly out of our home and our warm hearth here in the channel of DnDTime. And the ring had the power to harness the water, which allowed the first settlement on the lake to be built. Yeah, there we go. Now we're talking. The ring had the power to control water, allowing the first lake settlement to be built. Yeah, awesome. And I imagine, like, this is a low-level find, but it's like, when they find it, it's at first level, it still has the spell Control Water that they can cast, like, once a day or something like that, which is incredible at, like, an early level, and it was used to, like, allow them to, like, separate and build spaces of the water. Like, he would, like, pull the water away from an area so they could build, like, the spokes for the house up from the ground without having to, like, swim down, making it much faster. I think that's pretty rad. Sir Darwinning says, I'm doing some of that myself, trying to figure out how to run a city encounter with a Hydra for some level 2s. That is a great opportunity for me to say to you, you should post, I don't know if you're already a member of the Discord or not, but you should post down in the Discord. There's a link below if you're not already a member. In the DnDTime Worlds discussion channel specifically, we're going to be at the end of it, in your neck of the worlds, coming up with ideas for some other people's worlds, and seeing if the collected chat here can kind of source it and get through. So we can help you out with that if you're interested and you want to just, like, tell us a little bit about your world and your city in that discussion chat there. And if not, all good. But if you want to use us as a resource, please do, Sir Darwinning. Demon Lord Nemi, I love swamps, mountains, and hellish lands biomes. Mountains I'm a big fan of, too. Hellish lands. Demon Lord Nemi, I don't know if I've ever spoken to you about this, but I am a huge fan of the hellish kind of biomes as well. Specifically, the Nine Hells is my absolute jam. I've spent so much time in the Nine Hells over my tenure as a DM, at least proportionate to the time that I've been a DM, which isn't actually that long. So we have those Deadlands with the undead treants. They might be on the far side of the lake where it gets swampy. Throw a swamp over there. I want to... Black Sheba, well, maybe there's a swamp over there. My first instinct was to say, well, I feel like... And that's another thing about the Blight Clan, the undead treants. Like, if we build this forest out and it doesn't feel like the Blight Clan is going to, like, fit nicely into everything we have, we can just take the Blight Clan and later on just copy and paste. We take them and we just... throw them right over to whatever swamp we're making. Other side of the lake. Where's our landscape? Ponds, lakes. We didn't name our lake yet either. We're gonna call it Big Lake, and I'm gonna rely on you guys one more time to come up with cooler names than I do. I'm gonna come up with the most generic names I can. V-Bunny subscribed with a tier 1. They've subscribed for 5 months. I almost said 12 months. V-Bunny, thank you so much for your subscription. It means the world to me. It means the world to Jeremy. Thank you, V-Bunny. It is much appreciated. Carved Water Lake. Carved Water Lake is now the running contender for name. Yeah, we're making a lake. What's the lore of this lake? Is it a cursed lake? A holy lake? It's just a lake. The lore of this lake, Sir Darwinning, was created by Bionic Shiva there a little while ago. It's just a regular lake, and more the lore relates to the village which rests upon it. It's a small fisherman's village, from what we've established so far. And the kind of, the original elder of the fisherman's village had kind of a ring that allowed him to control water, which made it very easy to kind of build some of the houses out into the lake a little bit on stilts, so that the village itself kind of stretches onto the water, which is, a cool aesthetic. and then at some point he lost his ring. So the only legend and kind of like supernatural thing going on with this lake at the moment is that somewhere underneath, somewhere at the bottom of the lake, there is a powerful magic ring. Maybe we can do something like that. Adrian P. Ring Lake. I mean, maybe it's just Ring Lake. I don't know. I like Carved Water Lake. I'm gonna put Ring Lake as a secondary. That's what people who've never been to Carved Water Lake call it. Isn't that Ring Lake? Got the ring in it? Do you have a D20 you can roll, Pete? I don't have a D20 I can roll, but there is one in the Dice Hell on Discord. So actually, wait, no, I have like a real life D20 I can roll if you have a strong desire to. Yeah, I'll be right back. I'll get a D20. Hold on a second, Maddie. You can make this happen. I'm so used to. I'm so used to rolling dice digitally on Roll20 and on our Discord, where in the prison of the dice god, as it were. Best of luck with your ranked, Adrian P. Please make it to gold 3. Go get silver 3. Maddie Morgs, I rolled a natural 1. I don't necessarily know if that's significant for what you're doing, but I did roll the worst I could possibly roll. Yeah, I got my I got my dice right here. This fun story was the first dice, the first D20 I ever owned. I got it at a local game shop, which is no longer the Laudable Lagoon. I'm writing the Laudable Lagoon. I have to interrupt my story to write down the Laudable Lagoon, because that's so pleasant and lovely. I got this at a game shop, which closed down a while ago, when I first started playing Magic. 7th edition was coming out. And I didn't know how to play, and there's like, oh, we're gonna need a dice to keep score, and it cost me, I think, 50 cents, which is pretty good for a dice of this size, and that is that. That is that dice. DMG page 112, known for its delicious cuisine. Oh, I love that. The fishing village is known for its delicious cuisine. That is absolutely perfect. Also, we gotta name our fishing village. Our little fishing village that's on stilts, that's built over the Laudable Lagoon. Known for its delicious cuisine. It's on the Kingsway. Actually, we're gonna say it's off the Kingsway. Off the Kingsway. Wait, no, the King's Path. The Kingsway was mine. King's Path was what we decided on. But can be reached via a well-worn side road. So the lake helps produce delicious cuisines. Sweetwater Lake, Lake Tender Scale, Watery Acres, as if it was a Watery Acres, as if it was a bountiful farm. How delightful, Maddie! How delightful. Lake Tender Scale is also very good. Oh man, these are all really good. I want them all. I want them all. I don't know, Carved Water Lake, Ring Lake, and Laudable Lagoon. I'm keeping Laudable Lagoon because it made me laugh so much and I want to remember it. But I think Sweetwater Lake takes it for me. Sweetwater Lake. And then also I can imagine like using some lore of what Sweetwater Lake. I imagine that people kind of boil some of the actual water from the lake and kind of cure it of some of its nutrients, or remove some of the waste and pollutants from the water, and then the water has like this certain kind of sweetness to it that they use in like brewing and recipes and cooking that gives things in that town like a distinctive taste. It's just like a fun detail if and these are the kind of details that you don't need to have, but it's nice when you do. Back in Get Ye Flask times, people would barrel fruit to keep them cold at the bottom of rivers before refrigeration existed. So you can always call it something like Cold Keep or Apple Bottom. Maybe the well-fed folk. Well-fed folk was harder to say than you would think it would have been. Maybe the well-fed folk from that area are known as Apple Bottoms. They got the boots with the fur. They hit the floor. Next thing you know. Demon Lord Nemi says no. I suppose Demon Lord... Matty Morgs, this one's out of my hand. Demon Lord Nemi said no, so as much as I wanted to make them apple bottoms, I can't! Apple Bottom does sound like a halfling family. Like, my name is Gumdrick Applebottom. Gumdrick Applebottom was a very good improvised name. If any of you ever want to make a halfling named Gumdrick Applebottom, I grant you this boon. Make him. Build him strong, build him well. He's probably a wizard? I think Gumdrick Applebottom is probably a wizard. But who could say? Does Tack have a last name yet? Kinda. His last name is unofficially a Pixa, Takapixa, because that's what I rolled, but I have intentionally not used it because I wasn't super into it. And so therefore I haven't. So Tack of a Pizza, I don't know if I want to call Tack Applebottom, though. I feel like if I'm making an Applebottom character, he's gotta... I gotta build around the name. Applebottom's a name that you start with and then go from there. As a gnome, Shorty will get low. Indeed. Pollutants. My spelling is the worst in the world somehow. I'm the worst in the whole world. It's crazy that of, the billions of people on this planet, I'm the one that's the worst at spelling. But that's how it is. All right. What haven't we looked at yet? We got all kinds of stuff. Oh, we started to talk about an old windmill. That was Jeremy, aka Trust a Flump. That was his idea. There's an old ruined windmill. We just kind of like... My mind when I do worlds, it's very much, for anyone who's never read Name of the Wind, it's an awesome book, but there's a phenomenon that the author speaks of about the main character, Dvoth, where he puts his mind in this state called spinning leaf, where he just moves easily and flightily from topic to topic, and idea to idea, never resting too long on one. My mind is like that, and chat is the wind that pushes me around, so in that moment, the old windmill was spoken of, but then someone said something else, and the wind moved us away. Let's talk about the old windmill for a moment, because an old abandoned windmill, it's probably spooky, right? Like, an old abandoned windmill is probably spooky. Or at least thought of as such. This is another thing I wanted to do at some point, which was, where are our denizens of the forest? I wanted to do a bandit bang. Bugs passerbys on the king's path. How about the old mill gang The Old Mill Gang sounds like something that would be in like a nice spaghetti western movie. Like, the bank was knocked over by the Old Mill Gang. And the Old Mill Gang is a name known only to them. They hide out in the basement of an abandoned windmill in the forest. They've spread rumors that the windmill is haunted to keep villagers and law enforcement from investigating their base of operations. Demon Lord Nemi having flashbacks of a windmill that had a Medusa in it. I hate Medusas. I love Medusas as a GM. As a player, a Windmill Curse of Strahd flashbacks. I have not played Curse of Strahd yet. One of these days, maybe, I will. Reflected Tenate blows gently. I love windmills. Just the aesthetic. There's something so just sweet and kind about windmills that I very much enjoy. That's all I have to say about windmills. But, I don't know, just like picturing a windmill, I always just picture them on top of a hill in a grassy field, blue sky, a few fluffy clouds. It's just such like a relaxing mental image that is immediately conjured when I think of them. Even to a degree, this spooky abandoned one in the forest that has bandits in it, I guess we've decided now, or I suppose I unilaterally decided. But that's a connection that we got now, that's tied up. So we got one road. What do you guys think is, what do you guys think another road is? Because we have the King's Path. I'm going to come up with a name, and I want you guys, this is going to be a fun little game. I'm going to name a road. I want you guys to tell me what this road is and what its significance it is by the name that I'm going to come up with right now. And the name is, for this road, is going to be the SpongeBob in the procrastination episode. I wanted to call it a path. I'm picturing like the cracked. Is there a the cracked circle? I was trying to come up with like a road name, like a path or a way, but not an avenue, or the road that started with a C, so there could be a limit. So there could be alliteration, but I couldn't think of one. The cracked canal. Yeah, the Cracked Canal. That's the name of a road. I don't know what the Cracked Canal is and why this road is called a canal. That's up to you guys to tell me why this is that. But let me know if you figure it out, because I have no clue. Reflected Tenate, Lambert Baconbottom. The bandit's cook is actually a swell guy that doesn't do banditing, just makes the finest flour in the land. Yep, I mean, dried up river. Where does it lead? Where does it go? Why do people walk it? Lambert Baconbottom. Where is my bandit gang? Bold members. Lambert Baconbottom. The bandit's cook. A good guy that doesn't commit crimes, just grinds some of the finest flour in the land. That's I think Lambert Baconbottom is probably gonna sound like this. That's how I would voice a man named Lambert Baconbottom. Wouldn't be exactly a Mort, but he'd be kind of the gruffness of the Mort without the more kind of New Yorkie accent. Just the gruff of the Mort. The Cracked Causeway. Roger Twy, you've come in here at the kind of the penultimate moments of DnDTime Worlds, and you have absolutely crushed it. The Cracked Causeway is so much cooler than the Cracked Canal, in terms of naming things, and I cannot find where anything is. It would be underneath the Cracked Causeway. I don't know what a causeway is. And then the Cracked Canal was a river that was blocked off by the village that made the carved water lake to change it from a river into the lake. I'm going to copy and paste it. Because I'm not a fool. Because I'm not going to just write your words when I can just have the words there. Bam. Leads straight to the village dam. Sweetwater. I come to you now in your now hour of... I flubbed that simple sentence so hard. Roger Twy says, I come to you now in your hour of need. Nothing could be more true. They use the canal to transport a lot of corn, hence its more common name, the Ear Canal. It could be like a clearing with stones in a circle that is rumored to... Oh, you changed the name. Darn it. I mean... Demon Lord Nemi. No. Don't give us your idea in full. I want to hear. I was into the clearing with the stones. Tell me of it. We can use it elsewhere. No good idea should ever go almost said unwasted, but unused. During a time of drought, a canal was dug from the lake to a nearby supply water. Now in the days of plenty, the road persists as a sign of friendship between the towns. That's also very good. Damn, son. Maybe I should just do this every time. Just come up with a bunch of names that I think are cool, and just have you guys fill in the blanks, because you guys are crushing it on the Cracked Causeway, and we're going to go with the Cracked Canal as well. We're going to keep both of them, because the canal does fit very well. Also, the Ear Canal. I don't know if I read it yet, but it made me laugh a lot, so I'll read it again, just in case. They use the canal to transport a lot of corn, hence its more common name, the Ear Canal. Alright, we have built a forest. It's an intricate forest. We didn't build a lot of the nature-y stuff in it. We know there's the Galeb Floor, the Mushroom King, the Legend of the Small Potatoes, the Assassin Vines. We got a few kind of features within the forest, but not a ton. So maybe when we come back, and I don't know if next week when we do this we're going to work on the forest or not, but I do know that right now we're going to take a look inside of our world discussion, since it's getting to the time that I said we'd do this, and take a look and see what stuff that people want to talk about from their own kind of stuff. So let's go down to the world's discussion chat. Switch, I think, has now left, but we have a first and second but of course. Switch says, my party just hit level 13 in an infinite dungeon crawl. I started off the story by telling them all the last thing they remember is a strong hand covering their face with a cloth before waking up completely naked on top of a bag filled with their things. Where should I take my story after such an amazing encounter as the great arena of Pete and Jeremy the Beholder announcers? This is so broad, and I love it. And the most recent thing we know was just a straight-up battle arena, and we're doing kind of an infinite dungeon crawl. So I think in the kind of in the context of that, there is literally nowhere this couldn't go from that. save that we know that the campaign is ridiculous because me and Jeremy were beholder announcers in some kind of like death battle arena. So we know that much about this game that Switch has created. So what do you guys think Switch should do next in their game? What do you think his next move should be from there? One thing we do know is that they were naked, but they have all their stuff, which means that whoever got them, whoever put them where they are right now, took their clothes off, but like folded them up nice and put them in their bags. Oh wait, in Demon Lord Enemy, it was a clearing with 10 stone pillars rumored to be protected by a chimera. That sounds like a ruin to me, and I'm just gonna throw it on the ruins section. Where are my ruins? Because we don't want to lose. Like I said, no good idea goes unwasted. No good idea, Demon Lord Nemi, goes unwasted. So what do you guys think Switch should do next? Oh god, that's a great comment. That person, and we're not going to write this stuff down because it's not for the world that we're building now, but for perhaps a world in the future. Also, guys, I just want to point out that we built 4 pages worth of forest today. That's a pretty sizable chunk of forest that we banged out. You can call the Chimera fluffy. I love it. Bionic Sheep is throwing out that person took embarrassing pictures before they were dressed and is blackmailing them. And I imagine they took not just embarrassing pictures, but it's not just like embarrassing paintings, which implies that they were blacked out for a while. I don't know what your level of magic is, and if they can't, or if there's technology, or if they can take pictures, but I do like the idea that they were out of commission so long, this individual got to just kind of like stare at them naked on the ground for like hours as he slowly just kind of like took these very elaborate paintings of them. That just sounds very funny to me. Reflected 10.8, they find an entire layer of the dungeon that is just a high-class restaurant with monsters politely enjoying a meal. The players must either RP or trash their way through it. This is also very good. You see, and this ties in with the whole blackmail thing, because now what I'm picturing is it's one of the monsters in the restaurant that has blackmailed them and has tied him up here. And then we have almost an... I don't want to recommend the movie Oldboy to you, because it's quite a film. It exists. It's a Korean film called Oldboy, where this guy gets, without telling you anything about that plot, because it is absolutely wild, a guy gets kidnapped, and then he gets released later on, and the kidnapper calls him up on the phone and is like, do you want to know why I kidnapped you? This sounds a little bit like that. Like, do you want to know why I took these terrible pictures of you, knocked you unconscious, and now have left you in this high-class snazzy restaurant? Then find me. Farfel13, welcome to the chat. Oh boy, old boy. Yeah, quite a movie. I think you can take that one plot mechanic from Oldboy here. Definitely not all of that movie. For anyone who's seen it, I think you know precisely why I'm so reticent. Under the bag is a bunch of fancy clothes for them to go into the restaurant in. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. What would make a good butler at a monster restaurant? What monster do you think would be like... Farple says, whole plot of Oldboy seems fine. What could go wrong? Yeah, actually, yep, use it. Watch the movie, and then don't watch the movie if you are under the age of sensitive. Under the bag, there's a bunch of fancy clothes for them to go to the restaurant in. I bet you that the waiter, or the kind of the maitre d' is a Nothic that insights, that uses its fancy tux and its insight to know exactly what kind of food that you want and like where you want to sit and just kind of how you're feeling, which creates a great kind of monster experience. There's definitely some kind of big giant in the restaurant that There's definitely some kind of big giant in the restaurant that wants to eat the players, but asks to do so very politely. Like, assuming that the players walking in there, I bet you most of the monsters, now that I'm thinking about it, assume that the players are, like, on the menu, and they're just kind of being, like, walked through as a demonstration. Like, look how fresh our human is. Spirit Bomber 9XXX. Wait, Spirit Bover? Spirit Bover. A trifling botter. A trifling bottler. I'm struggling with my language. It's getting on towards the end of our show. Welcome to the chat, Spirit Bomber. We're helping out our dear friend Switch in our Discord come up with some good things to put within a monster restaurant. Which wasn't where we started, but it is where we ended up. Thank you very much to Reflected 10.8. And, well, frankly, I love it. Wait, Spirit Bomb over 9,000. There was like a smudge on my screen that prevented me from seeing the two letters that were the end of the B and the O that made the V. I am a fool, and for that I apologize. Spirit Bomber over 9,000. I don't know how I can't believe I've done this. Monsters would be good in a monstrous restaurant. Do you think the monsters would eat other monsters? Like, do you think the monsters would eat monstrous things? I feel like they'd eat adventurers. Like, I picture the big kind of dragon in the I picture the big kind of dragon in the corner, like speaking to his dragon lover, as Matty Morks might say. Will you be having the barbarian this evening, honey? Just, no, I'm on a bit of a diet. Perhaps a cleric. Just, I just meant monster patrons. Oh, yeah. But you think they'd eat livestock? I like the idea of them eating adventurers as well. But they eat livestock. I mean, whole cows for sure. Oh, yes, your Dargan lover. Zoozip indeed. Did you see the creature? As of yet, no. And with that, since I think Switch left, I will make sure that I instruct Switch. All of you yell at Switch next time you see him, be like, hey, watch this. We got ideas. We're sending ideas your way. And that's what's happening in your neck of the worlds. But we'll move on to the next one, and take a look at some of the other stuff. And yeah, there was a couple of other things here. A ballad that Shiba made in their first game of D&D for their ranger before. Oh wait, I don't think never mind. This is significantly longer than I thought it'd be. I don't think we have time to read it on stream, but we will do so. But I will read it in my own time because it's fairly long. Because we're wrapping up right now, and. Also, is this the rose monster that you were speaking of? Oh, okay, this is just a larger, this is just like a dragon of some kind. Tell me the story of your dragon, Demon Lord Nemi. It looks like a monster. CR25 is no joke. Oh, and I'm looking now, you got the shallow grave breath, oh my god. Or half as much damage on a successful one. If there are any dead creatures in a breath attack, they rise up as 9d8 whites. That's brutal. That's so many whites. That's terrifying. And then you also have this other kind of breath weapon. Other than that, it seems very similar to a lot of the other dragons with kind of the the multi-attack and the breaths and the bites in your claws, and the draining breath grants disadvantage on a bunch of different checks. You'd have to kind of know, I think, some of the lore for Jovan Hell, but sounds pretty righteous, man. Damage abuse and necrotic, kind of that undead dragon vibe, but without going the full Draco Lich. I like it. I like it. I think with these final words, That may be all that we do here upon this particular episode of DnDTime Worlds. We've built a forest. We've built one, and it is wonderful and lovely, and there's so many small details within it that I adore from the depths of mine soul. Among those, we'll just pick one. I mean, there's a lemon tree. Its lemons are so very sour. Built the, Biochu says, built the framework of one. Indeed. We don't have the forest completed in its entirety. Roger Twy, you have made me laugh yet again this evening. Yeah, I mean, it's not done all the way. It's definitely just the skeleton of a forest. But, you know, what you gonna do? That's all we got time for. And in your own free time, you can use kind of some of the skeleton. I didn't do it last week. I am going to do it this week. I'll definitely make sure it's posted so that y'all can look at this and look at our notes and see if there's anything in here that you would like to use in a future game of your own. We'll go through, maybe flesh out some of the more details on this next week, or maybe we'll start somewhere else completely fresh. Who knows? Either way, we got some great stuff here. We might pick a couple of these like little aspects to really hone in on and develop in detail, because everything here, that's the thing, is every single thing that we come up with, there's so much more room to build it out. Last week, we spent the entire week doing one character, one villain, and fleshing out around that. This week, we took, like, so we went the kind of small outwards approach. This week, we went the big inwards. But, like, Granny Grindle, we could take a whole week to talk about Granny Grindle. Any of these, like, bandit gangs or anything like that. Both of the towns could have their own weeks. I don't know what we'll do next time we do DnDTime Worlds. We do this show every other week. It starts at 9 o'clock on Tuesdays, so tune in and we will find out what we work on next time. But in addition to tuning into DnDTime Worlds, you should also tune in to the other content that we put out here at DnDTime. Specifically, coming up next, we have... What did I say? 9 Pacific Standard? I might have said PST. It's 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time that DnDTime Worlds begin. Goes from 9 to 11 approximately. And we actually stick to that more or less. Tomorrow, tune in at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. No mistake there. To DnDTime Talks, where Jeremy and I, we always take Trust a Flumph in the community. If you don't already know him, we talk about things together, specifically Dungeons and Dragons related topics. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about being a great player, not from a role-playing standpoint, but just from like being a good guy and contributing in non-role-playing ways standpoint, which I think is an important topic that isn't spoken about a lot, so I'm really looking forward to tomorrow's talk. So make sure you tune in and hang out with us for that. And then tune in on Friday to Pete and Jeremy's D&D Time, where myself and Jeremy run one-shots with our community. If you're interested in getting involved with that, we do 3 one-shots every week. They're all about an hour to an hour and a half long, so we get 12 people in every week. If you're a first-time player, then we always make sure to get you in if possible. There's information about how to do that on our website, which is linked below the stream here, or if you just want to know what it is, it's www.dndtime.stream. Come hang out. It'll be fun. I promise you this. I promise you this thing. It'll be fun. So, without further ado, I think that's going to be all for the evening. And when I said without further ado, I was lying, because what I wanted to say next is thank you all very much for hanging out and for building worlds with us and for just, you know, spending the evening with me, coming up with fun D&D ideas. It's always a blast. It's always a blast building stuff out with you. And also, as one last note, thank you very much again to our subscribers this evening. I believe Adrian P, Matty Morgs, V Bunny. I think I got everyone. I cannot remember. I don't have the cool thing that Jeremy does that tells him all the important things like that. I also can't see when people follow. So if you followed tonight and I didn't call that out, then thank you. Also, Farfel13 subscribed to Twitch Blind. They just subscribed for 12 months. That's the longest time anyone can have been subscribed for. So thank you very much. If you followed, thank you also to you. I cannot call you out individually, but I appreciate it and I love you. As I love you, Farfel, thank you again. Thank you to everyone. My heart is just overflowing with gratitude. I'm Pete. I'm Pete. And this is DnDTime Worlds. Good night, everybody.